Hey there, everybody. It's Eric J. Olson. We're not doing a podcast interview per se right now, but we are kind of introducing the world to our newest employee, Sean Ragsdale. Hey, Sean.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fantastic. You are looking snazzy, by the way.
Thank you, thank you,
I love the vest.
thank you.
So, Sean, as I said, he is the latest person to join the Array Digital team. And so what we wanted to do is kind of bring him on to the lives and let him kind of tell us his story a little bit. So, Sean, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Ooh, who am I? What I do? I currently live in Minnesota. Go Vikings! But I'm from Kansas City. Go Chiefs! I've been following all of that during the COVID special. I love learning languages. I have been living in multiple states and multiple countries in order to live the culture life. And I have found that through living the culture life, I've learned Spanish and Portuguese, currently learning Italian and Korean. I love those Korean rom-coms. I have learned how to converse with groups, learning the intricacies of how different people take in information and spread information. And it's really helped my game over the past 10 years.
So you're not one of the folks that go to a country and just stay at the resort. You're actually getting inundated with like all the all the towns, all the villages, whatever, wherever you go, like you're amongst the people immersed.
My mantra is when in Rome, do as Romans do.
How long did you travel for?
I have traveled since 2007, and I have lived in multiple countries for about 8 or 9 years.
Did you like go to a country thinking I'm going to live here for 6 months or like 3 years, or have a plan, or just kind of like as long as it kind of worked out for whatever, and then you'd go somewhere else?
I worked at Disney World on the college program, and I met so many people from around the world. And one of my friends, my best friend, he invited me over, and I said, "All right, I'll go for 2 weeks." I stayed for 2.5 years. I packed a bag with shoes that took up half the bag, and then clothes that took up the other half, thinking I was going to stay for 2 weeks, and I ended up staying 2.5 years. And that was Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Oh, wow.
I was a fly on the wall for the first 6 months, and I needed a translator, my best friend. And after that, I said, you know what? I need to learn it. So I applied for a digital agency in Argentina, and I got the job interviewing in Spanish.
Oh, wow. Good for you. So, all right. So you already had sounds like a digital marketing background, and then
My life.
you started. No, yeah, no,
That's my life.
yep. And then you're traveling,
Yes.
and so then you throw in. Well, I guess that could. I wonder if that made it easier or harder for you, because so a lot of the things that are mentioned in an agency, I would imagine, were the same whether it's Buenos Aires or Chesapeake, Virginia, right? Like Facebook. Okay, I know what that word means, right? Like
Yes.
that's
Facebook.
interesting.
Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. So there's like like a dictionary that I'm sure it doesn't change much from country to country, because it's all based on these companies, even if they're international companies. Yeah. So what? Okay. So let's talk about like work a little bit. So here you've got a specific role, and I know you've done a lot of different roles in the past, but what kind of attracted you to working on what you're doing now, and just tell everybody like what it is that you're working on these days.
My mantra is my Ikigai Venn diagram. What you're good at, what the world needs, what you can get paid for, and all that stuff comes together. And I felt that this company in particular, Array Digital, they're hitting that spot every time. They realize what the world needs, and they realize what they can get paid for, and they realize what they're good at. And every single client that they have currently, because I did my background check on them, they're hitting them. And I just wanted to be a part of it. And I wanted to put my 2 cents forward, or 4 cents or 6 cents, no matter which part of the country I was in. Like, well, this one would work really good there, and this would really work really good there. It just seemed like it was a mathematical equation that fit me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more happier.
That's awesome. That's cool. And you know, when you applied, it was really clear that you did your research. So I should have queued it up or something. That video that you sent. I don't know if you know this, but so everybody, if you're watching, the interview process that we have here is, you know, everyone who applies, we basically go back to them and we ask them to send in a video. And the video has to address a couple things. And basically it's, you know, why do you want to do this job? Why do you want to work here? And it also tests some technical acumen. Are you able to create a video and get it to us? Because we don't give like really specific instructions. So, you know, people submit their video in different ways and whatnot. Some do it like with Vidyard, and so they send us a link. Some send in the actual file, which, you know, is probably a little bit risky because files can get blocked by email servers and whatnot. I forget how you sent it in. I think it was an actual file. But it was really, really obvious that you had done the research. So the video was of Sean doing a voiceover as he's drawing on a piece of paper a picture of like me and a picture of Kevin, and talking about our journey to $100 million. And by the way, he got bonus points because he drew me with hair. And I was like, all right, this guy's in, man. There wasn't much hair, but it was a little bit of hair. that was super creative. And so that circulated the whole company. We all saw that like before, like the next decision was made. I forget who sent it out. Someone was like,
Katya.
I think Katya was like, check out this video that we got. And so like,
I owe her some kudos.
But it was a really good move. And honestly, for anyone who's watching and wants to get a job somewhere, like anything that you can do to set yourself apart in the interview process, it's wildly important. Because if you just go through Indeed and basically apply, you're just like the other. I think it was like 200, maybe it wasn't your job position, but we've received like over 200 applications.
Please tell me how many I won over.
It's crazy. No, yeah, it's so. But by you doing that video, like instantly, boom, you jump to the top, you know, and so we gave you a really hard look, and I think that's just really important to do stuff like that. So good job on that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was cool. So
I have been silently giving Katya kudos every week because I said if it wasn't for you, you weren't going to get my message out. I'm glad that you latched on to what I did and said, hey, take a look at this guy. That meant the world to me.
Yeah.
It meant that what I was thinking, I was like, I'm going to give him my best. It actually worked.
It was perfect. So, I mean, that's exactly what you should do. And I've got a friend who's looking for a job, and he's like, he just wants to send in the resume. I'm like, no, you need to like figure out who the hiring manager is in this company and go connect with him or her on LinkedIn and Facebook and tell them you want the job and why you want the job. Also send in your resume. You got to do that, of course. You have to do something extra. Send him a video, something.
You have to prospect. You have to, knee deep in on who the person is and figure out if your persona will match. And then when you feel that that's going to happen, then you take the dive. And I did all of that. I looked at all of your videos, and I saw that you were always on the whiteboard, always talking, always doing your stuff with Jake, the creative director. And I said, okay, that's his persona. And then I took a look at Kevin, and I looked at his hustle shirt, and I saw he was more of the fancy creative type, and I said, okay, that's you. And I put them both together. I was like, what type of message could I send to them to let them know that I get them, that I want to be with them? And then I made my video.
Well, the feeling is mutual. So,
I prospected you.
oh,
I
you did. You
was the
closed us.
What?
You closed us.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sales, you know. No, it's cool. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So Sean's, I don't know if we mentioned it or not, but Sean's position is as an advertising specialist. So you focus on Google ads, you focus on Facebook ads. What do you kind of find interesting about those two products?
To me, it's all about the future of user search. You know, now more than ever, people are getting Kindles and Siris and Alexas, and people are talking, and they're learning how to deal with these devices. But that can only give you so much information. The rest of the information, you have to type it, and you have to see it on your phone, which is blowing up. I would say there's 7 billion people in the world, and 6 billion people have a smartphone. So people are on their phones. So whatever can fit within a viewport of this much, whatever can be on the above the fold viewport, that's what you get. And you get split seconds of time to make your case before people just move over to the next one, because information is so free these days. People will click on ads all day, and they'll just go from ad to ad, and they'll make Google so much money.
Oh yeah.
It's phenomenal how much money Google will make. So you have to put your best foot forward, put all your information in that viewport, and figure out a game plan to get them to come back eventually, because most people don't choose their winner in the first 5 seconds. They'll come back for months before choosing, depending on the industry. So it's all of that put together in an algorithm where if you have this done and this done and this done and this done, you're gonna get the sale. So for me, I'm all about putting all that together in an algorithm. I love numbers. I love spreadsheets. I love optimizing by percentages. That's my game in life. Some people say I have the Midas touch, but a Midas touch has a de facto, oh, it turns into gold and you can't use it anymore. But for me, I touch percentages. I love bringing things up by percentages, and if anybody I can touch can grow, I'm all about it. And I thought that Array Digital was my fit. It really was.
That's awesome, and you're right. It comes down to a percentage or two. If you can get a 1 or 2% edge over your competition, especially in something like ads, then it's a wildly huge difference.
Game changer.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And so with what you're doing, I think it's a tough job, because there's math, right, and like the percentages that we're talking about, and click-through rates and cost per click, and a lot of numbers and a lot of metrics and a lot of optimizations. But there's also the subjective creativity, and so you have to kind of evaluate both those things. So you may know, I don't know, let me just throw out some examples. Like in a Google ad, that if someone types in a phrase, you need to show that phrase in the ad that is shown to them.
Yep.
They ask for ABC, you need to show them ABC.
Exactly.
But it also has to make sense, and it also has to be something that a human can consume and understand it, and right. So you don't just slam it in there and that's it. It has to be context around it. So the words matter, right? And you may have to look at the individual words and what are the connotations of each one of these words. And if one has more of a negative connotation than a positive, that one's out and put in the positive, right? So a lot of subjectivity, and then And then also like landing pages. That's another big thing that I
Landing
think.
pages is more than 50% in my algorithm. It's not just how many clicks you get and what's your click-through rate percentage ratio. It's the conversion. So I can get 100% click-through rate all day, but if the landing page doesn't do it for the user, you're actually going to lose quality score, which is going to up your maximum CPC, which means you're going to be paying more to get the same ad out. So it's all dependent on the end. You can do so much for a client, and then you realize that their landing page just doesn't do it for the user. So it's the whole spectrum of the algorithm that goes into my variables.
Yeah, and you're right. Certainly like in the early days of Array Digital, we kind of struggle with this because we wanted like the perfect landing page, but then people weren't clicking on the ad. So it's like, all right, first things first, you got to get them to click on the ad. Because if they
Yes,
don't click on the ad, it doesn't matter what the landing page shows or says.
exactly. You got to get the clicks.
You got to get the clicks. That's one. But I think a lot of, well, I don't know if this is true. It seems like some people will ignore the second step, which is once they get to the landing page, it's got to convert. And there's so many variables, right?
Oh.
So number one, the offering itself has to be top notch. But then you got to get their attention. So even though they clicked on the ad, you don't necessarily own that attention, right? You're going to get a split second. So there has to be a really big title, right? It's got to make sense. And if you don't capture that attention, they're going to bounce. And once you have their attention, you better have really good content that explains the offering. So
it's all about the cycle. It definitely is all about the cycle, depending on the industry, depending on the client, and depending on the onboarding method. Some clients, if it comes down to e-commerce, they're searching Walmart, Amazon, eBay, and they want to buy something. So if you get a conversion, it's because they searched for something, they went to something, and they bought something. But some of these more in-depth companies that are not e-commerce based, that are more like home good services, they like to do social proofing. They go to you, they click on you, you paid for it, and they see your landing page and they see the entity that you are. But then they're going back onto Google and they're clicking on the other ads as well.
Yeah.
Google's going to make 10 times the amount of money for every search keyword that you are paying for. So you're paying $5. Well, the end user is clicking 10 buttons, and Google's making $50. So then it becomes like, are you better than the competition? So it goes back to social proofing and it goes back to competitive analysis. But it's all about putting your target audience into a specific set of your funnel. Are they part of a 10-second cycle? Like I click it, I want it, I buy it, or are they part of a 6-month cycle? So depending on what landing page you put them on, you can put them through the flow of this will be a client eventually, just not now. So you may not see the conversion rate when you first start out your program, but you'll see it later depending on how your conversion rates are set up in Google Ads versus a 90-day, a 60-day, a 30-day. You might show your client like, well, we're at a 7% conversion rate right now. But give it 90 days, that's going to grow because they're going to come back and they're going to keep the funnel process going. And we're going to put an email drip campaign on them, or we're going to convert them through a CRM campaign. Like we got them. They clicked on us for a reason. We'll get them in the end. But don't expect immediate, depending on the industry. E-commerce is very direct. But home services, gosh, I would, if I wanted to fix my house, I would look at 20 different contractors, roofing contractors, and I would spend 20 days looking at companies near me. You can't figure out who you want until you can compare them. So it's all about comparative analysis.
Yeah, although, well, for me personally, if I know I want the service, right? So if I've already convinced myself that I need this thing, if I find someone who very quickly provides the validation that I need, such as a 4.9 rating out of a 5-star rating on Google and a couple hundred reviews and, very clean, modern website, frankly, for me, that's important because if it's like a really clunky old website, I don't have high expectations that they'll do a good job communicating with modern tools with me, which means it's going to be a pain to work with them. So if I see like 2 or 3 signals like that very quickly, then I'll pull the trigger myself. If I
Yep.
don't find what I'm looking for, like you said, I will keep looking.
Yep. It's all about that comparative. It happens subconsciously. If I see a 4.9 versus a 4.3, but the 4.3 has 200 reviews and the 4.9 has 3, I'll go to the 4.3 because it has more. It's more
You're right.
quantity versus quality.
Yeah.
I want more reviews versus less reviews, but a higher grade. Same with Uber drivers. If I get my Uber and it says, oh, I have 4.9, but he has 10 reviews, I'm kind of sketchy. But if the guy has 4.6, but 800 reviews, I'm like, oh, I feel safe. Yeah. And this is something that's currently trending in our society. We look at review, we look at rating, and we get a sense of calm. So if you can build that added to the algorithm, just it cleans the field. It really does. It's all mapped.
All right, Sean. Well, we are super excited to have you on the team.
Thank you so much, Eric.
All right, buddy. Thanks for your time, man.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.